Hi, I'm gonna do the poem of the day. Um, this is from my new book of poetry, Read Poems, that's not out yet. And it's pretty raw. I guess that's why um, most of my poems of the day are my poems. So they're really vulnerable. So I don't always feel like being vulnerable. And so this is about when I was still in Georgia, but wasn't seeing my kids that were still in Georgia very often, even though I lived near them. Which is why I just decided to leave Georgia. I did want to anyways, and then gradually they were leaving Georgia too, but now my two oldest are still in Georgia. But this is when actually, yeah, I wrote this right before when my younger son graduated college. He worked in Atlanta for about a year, and then he left Georgia also, and he's the one that's in Denver. But I moved out of my ex's house in 2016 and moved into our smaller house that we had rented out. And I didn't get the idea to do Airbnb until I believe it was in 2017 when I went on my first missions trip to Mexico. Since my ex wouldn't take me anywhere, I hadn't been out of the country since when I was a child. My parents took us to Mexico and to Canada, and I sort of had a lot of revelations after my separation and divorce, and I didn't even realize like how oppressed I was. When I got my car, when I picked out my car and I traded in my Toyota Sequoia that was falling apart, really, and I didn't need such a big, we weren't going on any trips together in it anymore. And and I traded in my Toyota Sequoia for my car and picked out my car. I was like, I'd never done this before. I had not ever picked out a car. So since I had learned how to drive, my dad picked me out a car when I was in Texas when I was 18. And then I saved up money when they moved from Florida to Texas and went back to my ex in Boca Raton. But he didn't let me take the car. He bought me the car to use while I was in Texas. Um, so, and then when I was going to Mexico on the missions trip, when I was in San Diego, we were getting ready to go to Baja to build houses for poor people. I came to a realization too, and I was like, oh yeah, and I had been to San Diego before. I mean, because usually we went north. We lived in LA, and we usually went north to the Bay Area because our family lived up there, and we went to Yosemite, we went to Carpinteria, go camping different places up north. But we had been to San Diego too. My mom had a friend that lived down in Cardiff by the sea. But so we had been down there. I went to the zoo, and I was remembering that we had gone to Mexico, and I was like, oh yeah, we went to Canada. When we moved to the East Coast, we camped on the East Coast and went up the East Coast and went to Washington, D.C. a couple of times. We went to Colonial Williamsburg. We went to Boston. because my grandmother's family lived in Boston, so my mom had cousins and stuff like that, and I had great aunts and uncles, and I actually saw the farm where my grandmother was born. It's near Boston. It's in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And so when I was in San Diego in 2017, it dawned on me that my parents took me more places in 18 years than my husband took me in 30 years. So anyways, I was in Mexico, and another thing that happened in Mexico is when I found out about Airbnb. I had a friend that said that she'd use that. It was cheaper than hotels sometimes, and she was talking about Airbnb. A friend I met, she was a nurse, and she lives in well, she used to live, I don't know where she travels a lot all the time, and I think she became a travel nurse, and she was using Airbnb doing that too. And a lot of my guests were traveling nurses. I had a lot of traveling nurses guests. So anyways, I started doing Airbnb in 2017 when I found out about it. But when I first moved into the house, I was fixing it up, and I got the rooms painted, and I purposely wanted to do one room red, and do a Georgia Bulldogs theme because my sons are both went to the University of Georgia, and my younger son graduated in 2018 from the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. So I painted that room red, and then the other room I wanted to be for my youngest daughter, she was 15 when I moved out of the house, and in 2017 she was 16. So I did it kind of the same color she had for her room at the big house, which was like a light blue. And I actually got this comforter, this really nice comforter for her room, for her, and I kept, it's just like one of the few things I kept. I liked this comforter best of all the rooms, but I had the purple room, and so, and Ian did come once or twice and stay in his room at the house, and this poem is about a dream I had, and it did come true later on. She came one night, I think that's it. One night she spent in her room. But anyways, then the rooms ended up being the Georgia Bulldog room for my Airbnb, and that was like a favorite room too. They love the Georgia, I mean, everybody in Georgia loves the Georgia Bulldogs, except for those who don't. Georgia Tech people, I don't know. My pastor was from Alabama, so he was a Bama fan. So then the blue room, and then I put the elephants in the blue room, so it was the blue elephant room, and then the purple room, and then I ended up moving out into my den too, because I started renting out 2 rooms, and then I went, and then it got really busy in the spring of 2018, and I started renting out 3 rooms. Started renting out the den, and then I ended up moving into the den later in the year, in the fall of 2018, and renting out the other 3 rooms. So that's how that went. But anyways, in the course of that time, and also for backstory on this, a lot of backstory on this poem. So, and also backstory on this poem is when the first Chronicles of Narnia came out, I believe my children they were grown. My older kids were teenagers, I mean. They were elementary school. My youngest 2 were in elementary school. And I started reading to them every night. They always had a problem going to sleep, my kids. We all had a problem going to sleep. We were all, so I guess, sort of night owls and staying up too late. And So I would read to them, and we used to braid their hair, and then they'd go to bed because my youngest two are girls, Lydia and Claire. And so for those years, I had stopped homeschooling, so it was a special time to me. And we used to read every night, and we would read. We went through Harry Potter. We used to read Chronicles. We started with the Chronicles of Narnia before the movie came out, and I'm thinking that was when did the first Chronicles of Narnia movie come out? I can't remember what year it was. I'm thinking it must have been. Thinking it must have been 2008, 2009. Let me Google it right now. $2005. Okay, it was 2005. And I did have that in my library. I had a nice. It was like plastic. It was like a movie poster from the movie theater or something, because it was round. It was really cool, and it had the lion and Lucy by the lamppost and stuff. So it was 2005, and I started reading to them every night, and we went through all these books, and Percy Jackson, and a series of unfortunate events. Yeah. Aragon, which is the ones with the dragons. But anyways, so let me finally get to the poem. All that. I don't want to read the poem. I might as well. Okay. So it was 2017, and this is what I wrote before the poem. I fixed the blue room for Lydia and the other Georgia Bulldog room for when Ian was away at college still. For when Ian came back, and the purple room was mine. I never dreamed I'd start renting them out on Airbnb, but I did that November. Before that, probably in the summer. I'm most lonely in the summer. I dreamed that when I woke, my baby Lyd, we call her Lyd for short sometimes, she was 16 at the time, was asleep in her room, in the room I fixed for her brother. This is kind of funny because, just kind of being rebellious. I'm going to be in this room, Mom. I don't like the room you fixed for me. Not the room I fixed for her, of course. And her car was in my driveway. And so, in the dream, I wake up and she's sleeping in her bed. And so it reminded me of one of the stories we all love to read. And I put a line from Peter Pan in here. So the children waited for her cry of joy, but it did not come. She saw them, but then she saw them in their beds so often in her dreams that she thought this was just the dream still. She sat down in a chair by the fire, where in the old days she had nursed them, J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan. And that dream gave me hope that she will still come home from Neverland. So the poem's called Leaving Neverland. I awoke to see her in her bed, like so often in my dreams. We read in bed, not so long ago, about the land of Narnia and the boy who lived, those demigods and unfortunate kids, their parents who died in a fire. Will my kids always see me as the loser mom who lived? Can't even find a job. I'm nothing without Bob. What did I work all those years for? Why did he always want more? Why did I let them control and disrespect me? When will they ever see? Come back from the land of the enemy. See who is truly the bad guy here. The mom who read and sang to us. Jesus loves you. I used to sing him that. You are my sunshine. Let me be your teddy bear. I used to sing that to Teddy. Put a chain around my neck. Lead me anywhere. And they did. They all did. I did what I thought they wanted. He always said before, you have a job. So I cooked, I cleaned. I went to games, I took the lead. I'm taking a break now from serving you. It's my turn. For so long, I tried to do just what they wanted me to. Time to grow up. People pleasing can't be done. They're never satisfied like Mick. But God's yoke is easy. His burden is light. His path is right, shining ever brighter unto the perfect day. He won't take my sunshine away like you did. I watched Hook the other day, and I didn't expect to, but I did cry. Because Captain Hook gets the boy to love him, and his sister's trying to remind him. And that's a movie we watched years ago with the kids. And it's such a good movie, and a lot about being a parent in that. I even used to sing the little song she sings, and he is like, my mom used to sing that. The stars are all my friends till the night time ends, so I know I'm not alone when I'm here on my own. Isn't that a wonder? When you're alone, you're not alone, not really alone. Well, I'm all spent now. As usual, y'all, pray for Red. Red will pray for you. Love you. Bye.